Hey there everyone, Hitesh here, back again with another video, and we are continuing our journey in the world of cloud and DevOps. This is another video in that set that you should watch, and this video is regardless of which playlist you are following on the channel. For the future recommendation, I'm making this one up. So maybe you are following for the cloud practitioner or the architect or any exam, these videos needs to go through first. Before we do that, first of all, I have a small target for this video as well. I just want that there should be 100 comments on this video within 24 hours of publishing of the video. I hope you will help me to achieve this target. It's a really small one. It helps me to boost my channel and gives me motivation to put more such videos which are engaging and helps you to learn cloud and programming in general. So let's move forward. Hope you will help me to achieve the target pretty quickly. Just 100 comments. It's nothing much more. So help me with that. Okay, another one. Now let's go ahead and finally start our cloud journey. Now we have the entire mindset, what to learn, what not to learn, what to expect, how to go with that. In this video, we'll go with the hands-on approach of AWS. Now, a lot of people are afraid of getting with the hands-on approach, but I truly believe that until and unless you do the hands-on, you will never learn cloud or DevOps in general. It looks good when somebody else is doing it or you're just doing that all in the sandbox of some company. Not a good idea. You should have your own AWS account. You should not worry about paying the bills. Even if that bill comes around, it's just merely $2, $3, $5, or most of the time it's absolutely zero. So stop worrying about that. I've seen so many people who have potential to learn, but they don't learn it on their own just because they're afraid of having the bills. I'll walk you through. You will never have to pay any bills. All of the things will be under control. All of that, you don't have to worry. So let me go ahead and first walk you through that we need to get started. This video will walk you through about creating an AWS account, how to manage it properly, as well as taking control of your bills so that you don't have to pay the bills, as well as some of the important points which are important from the exam perspective of certified cloud practitioner, as well as in general as well. So first of all, let me share the screen, and here we are. So this is what you have to do. First of all, go ahead and search for AWS registration. And once you click on any first link, which is for the registration website of AWS, by the way, AWS, of course, is offered by Amazon, and this is where you can click on the create free account. AWS offered generously free tier. Like by the term generously, I mean really on top of the generous. So they offer a lot of services. Some of them are totally free. Some of them are free for the 12-month by the time you'll be creating account, and some of them are always free. For example, there are some instances of EC2 machines. We'll talk about them later on. But these are basically just computers which are totally free. You can use them as long as you wish. There is no pricing on that. There's a lot of more services like S3 buckets and whatnot are available for that. I have a bit older account, and that is the reason why I cannot actually avail these 12-month free services. If you're creating a fresh account, obviously you can do that. I created my account long ago, so I don't have these offerings available for me. So go ahead, click on the create free account on here, and it will ask you just like a simple login you have done for a YouTube or Instagram or Vercel or any of the services. Just go ahead and do that. Now here is the interesting thing that we need to discuss before that. First of all is you haven't hit that subscribe button, so go ahead and do that. And another important thing is, especially for people who are in India, when you are trying to register on AWS, it will ask you to enter your credit card details. It might be a credit card, it might be a debit card. Now don't worry, it is not going to charge you without having your authorization. The Indian government is absolutely strict about that, and you won't be paying anything without having your one-time password or having some of the credits being accepted already there. So don't worry about that. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that the RuPay card is having some of the issues with the AWS. I have seen that. I have been reported this same by the student. If you're having a RuPay card, please make sure you have either a Visa card or a MasterCard. They works better on AWS. And when you actually try to authenticate yourself, AWS has a policy. They authenticate you based on the email as well as on some card details as well. So they'll ask you to pay some like 40 rupees, 4 rupees, 2 rupees. It's varied up on there. So based on this, they actually verifies you. They are not going to deduct this amount. They will even refund that amount, 4 rupees, 5 rupees, 40 rupees, whatever that is. And they will go for that. So you have to verify yourself with any card details. Don't worry, it is not going to automatically charge you for there. You have to absolutely not to worry anything about that. So that is important. but you will need some of the debit or credit card because these are clouds. These are production level things. And don't be scared of that. Just do it. As of now, there is no UPI, sadly, but I think in the future it will have. So once you have created and registered your account, then you simply go ahead and look for the sign in into the console. This is the first place you will go, and I'll just click on this and I'll walk you through exactly how the steps actually goes through, what you should be worried about, what you should not be worried about. Now, first thing is, most of the time you'll see that there is a root user and IAM user. We really don't want to use the root user because that's the user which is super powerful and has a lot of privileges. We really want to change that, but we cannot do that right now. We have to learn a few more stuffs for that. So for the root user, I'll just select one of my account for this one. And these are the accounts that I use for the teaching purposes. So nothing to be worried there. So I'll just go up there next and I'll actually enter my password. Let me search for it. Hopefully this is my password. Let me just enter this. And finally, I'm into the console home. This is the place for the first time you'll be getting in. Don't worry, I'll walk you through everything in here. And yes, I have paid some good amounts to AWS as well. By the good amount, I mean $50, $60 when I was teaching some advanced stuff to some of the classes. So most of the time you won't be paying anything. Now, what you have to do once you are into the console is make sure you're securing your account and are creating a sub-user so that you can have that. This is a common thing. This is asked in exams as well. This is a common thing that is asked in interviews as well. To perform these kinds of basic steps, you should know that. So let me walk you through. First of all, on the right-hand side, you can see at the very top that I have this Northern Virginia and the teaching account. Yours might be saying some big digit, which is your account ID. Now, this is a teaching account purely. We don't host anything here. We don't use it in production. This is for the teaching purposes. I recommend you, first, what I recommend you is go on to this settings and make sure you click on the dark mode. Otherwise, it's too bright for us. We don't like that much of bright. So go ahead and click on that. That is important. And make sure you select any one region. There are lots of regions. We will have a discussion on these regions later on. But just pick any one region and stay in that region. You will learn later on that this is so much of a helpful advice. Pick one region and stay in that always. Always keep an eye on the top. Usually it is easy to be in the US East one because this is where majority of AWS services are offered first and is the cheapest of all the region. So I always go with that for the teaching purposes. Now, if I click on the teaching account, this is where I see my account ID, and I'll show you how you can change this into the teaching account. A couple of interesting things we'll walk through is the account. Then we'll walk through with the billing and the cost management. And you can also change your security credentials, all these things. First of all, let's click on the account and see what all these things are there to offer in the AWS. And just follow along. It is not at all very difficult. So here you can see I can edit my account ID, password, and what is the account name. I have named my account as a teaching account because this is what it is, basics of the stuff. Now, once I'm into this one, accounts and all of that, I can edit and change that. You can also change your teaching account or you can give any name to your AWS account, by the way. This is where you have your contact information. Of course, these are all fictitious information since I use this for teaching purposes a lot. So all these information are fictitious. And on top of this, if you'll scroll down a little bit, you'll see that you have AWS region. Not all the region for all the accounts are enabled by default because you don't need them, by the way. You only need the few ones, but if you need something very specific, maybe you're doing something in Zurich or Calgary, you need to ask AWS to enable that. Most of them are just one-click process, but you won't be needing that as far as I know. If you'll scroll this a little bit, this is where you see something interesting, and I'll show you this one as well. This is the section where it says IAM user role and billing information. And by the way, this is so much organized now. When I started teaching AWS, it was so much of a chaotic to find this information here, there, and all of that. Now it is all very much organized. So a big shout out to the UX team of the AWS who has done this fantastic job. If you find them, just clip out this clip and tweet them out. A big shout out and big thanks to them. Now what this is, right now I'm logged in from the root user account. The problem with the root user is it's too much powerful. But also there is another problem, which is billing information is only available to the root user. So we will create a sub-user, but by default, the sub-user don't have the billing information and billing accessibility. So in order to give those sub-user or admins the billing information, I have to click on edit and activate IAM access to the billing portion of the AWS. I'll walk you through. This can be a little bit of interview questions or maybe an exam question, but don't worry, I'll walk you through. Now, apart from this, there are reserved instances and a lot of things like public accounts and all that. We don't have to worry about them yet. Of course, you don't want to close your account. So these are the basics. Now, this is all done and you have checked your passwords and you have given your teaching account or whatever the account you want to give. Now we can go ahead and move on to another section, which is billing and cost management. We'll work on with that as well. Don't you worry about that part. Now, this is the basics of how this goes. Click on the billing and the cost management. This is, I'm trying to access billing and all these information right from my root account. That is okay, but we'll shift everything onto another user. We will rarely use this root account. We'll create a sub account and we'll be doing every information from there because this information can be changed, all this from your root account only. By the way, we'll talk about them. Now, this is where you can check your bills. On the left-hand side, just click on the bills. And once you are into the bills, you can check out how the bills actually goes on, what are the charges and everything. Now, also, if you'll scroll this a little bit here, you can see there is a budget and planning, and there are budget reports, budgets, cost tiers, and all these things available for you. I'll show you some of the interesting things that you can do. So there is a billing budgets. So in the budgets and the planning section, we'll click on the budgets and we'll try to create a budget. Now, this is a template budget setup, or you can do a customized budget setup as well. We'll just use the template one, the basic one. Now, this section will help you to actually avoid any billing and unwanted bills that you can have. Let me just scroll this a little bit here so that it's easier for you to see. Now, once this is here, I can actually zoom this a tiny bit more. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, now we have zero spend budget, monthly cost budget, daily budget, however you like to go. We'll go for a monthly cost budget we would like to have. We'll call it as monthly cost budget, but feel free to name it whatever you like. Now, this is where you put your budgets, of course, in dollars. So I'll just say, hey, my budget is $10 per month. I only want to spend this much. Now, here you can actually add your emails. So let's just say if I go ahead and add an email, make sure you enter your own original email, whatever that is. This is where you will receive the email if your budget is about to go beyond $10 expected forecast. So notice here it says, this is usually asked in exam as well. You will be notified when your actual spending reaches 85%, your actual spend reaches 100%, and if your forecasted spend is expected to reach 100%. So they will notify you a couple of times when it is $8.5, of course, for the $10 that we have got. Or if we have actually spent 100% of that, or it is forecasted that you might consume in the upcoming few days. So this is all you have to do, and it will notify you via your emails, and then click on create budget. And that's it. So simple to control all of your budgets. So that's why I say don't worry too much about AWS. It has so much of measures for you to actually stop and control all of your budgets. I'll walk you through with each one of these details. Okay. So this is the budget part. I hope now you are feeling much more comfortable that you are in charge of having these budgets and what to allocate, what to not allocate, and all of these things. By the way, you can explore more of these sections where you can see where the payments are being made, what are the purchase orders. I'll not open my purchase orders. We'll have the bills and everything all up here. If you click on the home, this is where you see the big picture overview. And don't worry, we will come back onto this one. Regarding how to actually properly monitor this, manage this, and understand all this cost monitoring. This will come up in a separate section in itself, but go ahead and at least have a look on this, how this is all going on. So I hope this makes you more comfortable. Now let's go on and do some more stuff which are required for AWS. Let's go into the home. We haven't got a tour of the console yet. We will do that very soon. Right now you can see this is the recently visited services, some of the application. By the way, all of this is actually drag and droppable. You can change all of this views according to how you like. This wasn't the case earlier, but now it is. Also, Amazon has recently released a queue, and this is where you see the queue. You can ask questions, you can see what services, what's purpose of the service, and a whole lot of things. We'll work on this later on quite a lot. Right now, the next important aspect for us is to worry about the root section. Now, the root section that we have is we are logged in from a root, which is a very powerful user. We don't want to continue to do that. We actually want to take a step back and try to understand that how we can make it less vulnerable to those attacks which are actually done on the root. Root user is something which you should keep secure and should not use it in your day-to-day life. This is also being asked quite a lot in the interviews as well as in the exams, especially the CCP exam that you are about to prepare. All right. So how can we do that? Now, the easiest way to do this is search for IAM. We'll study more about the IAM as later on, but this is identity and access management. This is where how AWS manage that what role should be there, what should be the privileges that should be given to you, or how many users can access the AWS. So let's go ahead and click on this, and I'll walk you through some of the best steps to go through with it and why there are some problems in some of those steps as well. The better you understand the system, the better you will be able to answer in your exam. The first thing it says that root user should not have any active access keys. I'll walk you through what are these access keys, but you can access AWS console via these graphical, via the browser, or you can also access them through your terminal. So right now, root access should not have any access keys, means it should never be logged in from the terminal. Another exam question, but this is. Now, it also recommends that you should have a multi-factor authentication for the root. I don't have it because I use a couple of accounts, and having MFA for all of these accounts is difficult for me. But in the organizations, it is recommended that at least the CTO, CEO, or some director should have the multi-factor authentication for such root accounts. Now, what is multi-factor authentication? AWS actually believes that you should have two ways of authentication yourself, something that you know and something that you have. What you know is your password, and what you have is some device or some clickable app or something. So this is how it works. All right. Now, this is where you'll see the console signing link as well. You can go ahead and copy paste this one as well. Now, on top of this, what we're going to do is, you can see I have some user groups, roles, and all of this. So we really want to create a new user who is almost having same privileges, but is a different user. So what we'll do is we'll click on the users, and this is where you see the users. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'll click on this and I'll delete this user. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one, and we'll recreate this user to actually have this. And this is how, by the way, you actually delete the user if you have this one. All right, so user is being deleted. Now what we want to do is create a fresh user, and we'll be using that user for throughout all of our journey of AWS or whenever we need that. So click on create user. This is where you provide a name for the user. I'll again name this as YouTube. Since the previous YouTube user is gone, we can actually do that. Now you can provide this user access of AWS Management Console. I'll click on that. Now this user will be allowed to actually log in into this console. So this is what you say, provide access to this AWS console. By the way, there are other types of users you can create. Now we can say specify user in Identity Center, which is recommended. We'll also come back onto this one. Right now, I'll say that I want to create an IAM user. In the IAM user, just click on the create custom password. I'll just create a custom password for this one. Okay, I'm not going to show this, and I'll also uncheck this create user for a password. By the way, I'm doing this just for the teaching purpose. For the purposes of exam and for the real world, these all options should be checked, not the show password, of course. The options of making sure that whenever a new user is coming onto your account, he should be able to change his password on the very first login. That's a good practice and is recommended by AWS also. Let's click on the next. Now comes the interesting part, add user. So you have created a user almost, but this user is not having any permissions, is not allowed to do anything at all. So there are a couple of ways how you can do that. What we are going to do is, most of the time, what you will also prefer is to attach policies. Policies are nothing. They are some of the permissions that you want to give to that user. So easily, just go ahead and search for the permission known as admin. And this one, first one says administration access. This is the one which makes the user almost the ability to do everything and anything that he wants. If you expand this, you don't have to know code for this, but if you expand this, you'll see that there is an option here which says statement that says affect, allow, actions, everything. This asterisk means everything. These are wildcards, and the resource is everything. So basically, we are giving very high privilege permission that says, hey, allow this user to do anything on everything. This is exactly what we want. You don't have to worry on that because we are protecting our root user and making this YouTube user as almost acting like root user. So admin, basically. Once I click on this at the bottom, I'll just click on the next. Now it will ask me to just, if you want to give any tag, you can give that, like, hey, these are all admin roles or something. I'll walk you through with the better ways in a minute, but this is how you do it. Just click on create user. And now you have the user, you have your password, and you can return to this whole thing. Now what I can do is I can copy this and I can log in into this one. By the way, you can email the sign in instruction to the user as well. I'll open up this and I'll just simply enter that same link which you have given to the user to log in. And once you are into this one, it will take a couple of seconds to load, obviously. Depends on your internet. All right, so we can see our teaching ID is already being filled because of those links. And now let's go ahead and go for this one here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say, I am a user is YouTube. I'll enter my password. Hopefully that's the one I entered. And once I do sign in, I can see, hopefully in a second. All right. So exactly same, but this time I'm not logged in as root user. I'm logged in with a regular user. All right, so moving further, again, go ahead and first of all, change the settings to the dark mode. I always do that. So make sure that's the one thing. We are in the Northern Virginia. That's the US East one. Always look for that. And in here, you can see that we have got all of this billing and cost and all these information that are available. This user is less powerful compared to the user that we already had, that is the root user. Now, here's the interesting thing. Just a moment ago, I walked you through that there are a couple of users that we can have. And we actually went into the accounts and I told you that billing and cost management is not available to all the users. So if I go ahead, click on, yes, please leave this, go on to this account settings. And if we go ahead and click on enable onto this activated, then only the billing information is available. Now, this is where a lot of people fall into the trap. If I go into this one, you expect that now, since I have clicked on this, I'm allowed to have the access of billing and cost management. And you'll see that that rightly happens. You are having the access. All right. But what you're expecting now is to go ahead and change this one. So if I go ahead, click on edit and click on this and say update, now you're expecting that immediately my account, which is YouTube, this account should not have access to this information. So if I hit a refresh, I should not be shown to this one. This is where you are a little bit wrong. You can see that you still have the access of this. But if you click on the bills now, this is the information which is stopped from you. So notice here, you don't have permission onto this. So this is exactly the portion. You don't get the being logged out from entirety of the thing, but rather some portion of the bills. You can again go back onto this console and say that, hey, now I've decided that I'll go ahead and activate this, go ahead and click on update. Now I am a user who is having the admin access, has the access to this information. Click on refresh and now you have the billing information access. So this is a really common interview question as well as your exam questions and whatnot. There is so much more to learn onto this one, but let's go back onto this one. We'll just go ahead and log out this one. We'll also talk later on about switching roles and whatnot. AWS is really deep and I'll walk you through it quite a lot. The reason why I've logged out is because we have done something which is not industry standard. Let's go back onto the AWS and go back onto the IAM and let's analyze what we have done. So we have created a new user, nothing bad in that. We have attached good policies on that, nothing bad in that. And we also given the access to the billings and all of that. That's exactly what we wanted. But this is not how industry actually works. So what happens is there is not usually one admin or one developer or one similar kind of a role. There are groups of people who actually have these roles. So for example, you have admin groups which have 4 or 5 users. We have developers group which are also 5 to 10 groups or maybe more. So this approach means you have to do a lot of work again and again. So that is why this approach is not actually being utilized quite a lot. So what we're going to do is just click on this and we are going to go ahead and delete this user. And let's go ahead and delete this and delete the user. All right, looks good. All right, now let's go back onto the IAM, identity and access management. What we really want to do, according to the industry standards and the AWS recommendation as well, you really want to create groups, admin groups, and the group has attached all the policies. Once the group has policies, all you have to do is create a new user and add this to this group or that group, and it automatically assumes those new permissions. So what we can do is, let's just say we are going to click on user groups. Let's create a group and let's call this group as admin. And now add users to the group. If you have users, you can go ahead and do that right now, or you can do that later on. And here again, you can search for admin. Right now I'm going to click on admin, all these permissions. Let's create a group. And all we have done is now we have an admin group, which is having all the policies attached. So it gives me so much of freedom and flexibility that I can make any user to dev, to testing, to admin, and I can move the user pretty freely. Now, if I go on to the users, all I have to do is, let's just say we create a user, another one, and we go ahead and say, hey, you are YouTube again. I'll give you AWS access. I want to create an IAM user. I'll create another password. So new password. All right, looks good. And nope, not gonna be allowing to change the password because this is just for teaching. Click on the next. Now, notice here it says add user to the group. Previously, we attached the policies. That was exactly same, but this is much better. I can make users a part of multiple groups as well. Some of the users have permission to access S3 buckets, the storage part, or maybe the compute part of the AWS, and this is far more easier to do so. Click on next, and now your user will assume those roles. Click on the next, and you can add tags, by the way, as well. Let's just say we can add the tags. So we can say that this is profile, and I'm having a profile of admin. By the way, these tags doesn't really matter much. You can just have these profile, use profile. And we are gonna go ahead and create the user, and that's it. Now you have the user. Exactly same thing, exactly the same ability, but it's much better of a flow and is recommended by the AWS. Let's go ahead and return to the user. Yes, please continue. And now we can see that this is the user that we have created, and that's a group. Hopefully that will change in a minute or second. Let's check other user groups. We can see there is one user in this group, and that is YouTube. So this is so much easier. You can create multiple groups and attach multiple policies on that, and you can move the user freely around. If you create a new user, you just have to add them in the group, and that makes life so much easier. There is so much more to talk about the identity and access management, best practices, and a whole lot of things. By the way, it gives you some security recommendations as well. And we also need to learn a little bit about how more things can be done in the AWS. We are already past almost 30 minutes. We haven't just touched the things yet. There is so much fascinating of the world of AWS. We also need to learn how to do a console-based login, how to have the access of more machines and whatnot on this. We'll definitely do that, but first help me to achieve the target, comment target on this video. The whole idea of this year is to make you much more comfortable with AWS, which I'll 100% do that. So that's it for this one. Go ahead, practice this. If you find something interesting, let me know in the comment section and share this video as well. That's it for this one. Let's go ahead and catch up in next one.